What's going on, everyone? We're back here today with another video. Today we played in another Ironman. We're going to be showing off the Kuraz Fieldspell Control, aka KFC deck in action. So basically, if you remember, there was like a prototype build of this deck that did pretty poorly in testing. I lost in the last Iron. I'd made some changes and adjustments and stuff and fine tuning, and I felt like the product I got from that was pretty good. I showed off some games with that in the same video, and it was doing very well. And today, I basically swept 3 of the matches in the Iron with it, so that definitely instilled some confidence as well. Uh, this is probably my favorite deck. It's, I think, my strongest deck, and as well as being the strongest competitively, I think it's the craziest, most unique, sort of innovative pile that I've come up with as well, which is definitely cool. There is a deck profiling coming on this. The thing is, there's a card for it called Minefield Driller, which you will see in this video, that I didn't have before, and I'm waiting for it to come in the mail because I want to do this list IRL now that I have the opportunity to do videos like that. I've just got it in my head that's the way I want to do it, so we're going to be waiting on the USPS before that video can be put out, but it is definitely coming imminently, I promise. And also be sure to check out any new episodes of Meta Breakers that will be coming out as well. There should be a new one, I think, tomorrow, probably. So that's going to be hype. It's going to be on this channel. But without further ado, let's just jump into my games in the Iron. First one, we're up against Jaina here. Jaina's playing this quick draw deck with, like, this tacked in Offerings of the Doomed. I think this is the only one I saw, but there's could be more. I don't know. Maybe it's just a random one-off. And as you can see, we're going second. We're opening just, this is abysmal do-nothing hand. But as you can see, we're really going to kind of luck out here. She opens Dust Shoot, which hits the only monster in her hand, which is Gajiltron. So, I mean, that's basically a neg-1 for her right there. And then, like, we're also just going to be able to do this heavy play with no chainable back row. So, I mean, things just kind of work out here, and I'm like, all right, we'll set cards. But she top decks a charge, and mills the dandy, so that's really crazy for her. Sets the Raikou, sets the Offerings, just passes, we draw, we go upstart, I think we draw another one. And Garden's kind of useless, so I'm like, alright, we're just going to sit here, beat over tokens. She decides to hold the Raikou out of Fear of the Judgment. So I'm alright, just hit over more tokens. She holds, we pass back and forth like several times here, because we're both just drawing nothing. I mean, she's drawing Crows, I'm drawing Dead Avarice. Here she finally flips the Raikou, and I just decided to let it go. I'm like, yeah, this Gear Dragon didn't do anything anyway, so yeah, we just let it die. She hits in, maybe this was a little premature. I drop Trag, I hit over, she drops Trag. Here I decide I have to get rid of it, so I'm like, we're just taking it. We're going to tribute for Kuraz, get some draws, dig. She flips the Raikou, again, I just let it go, even though she pops the Judgment. She goes for Caius. I have the Torrential, which I think she knew about. But yeah, she adds a second shell to her hand, so now at this point I know like 3 of the cards in her hand are just completely fake. It's Shell, Blaze Accelerator, so long as I don't play into Blaze too bad, I'm not too down on card advantage, even though she has a bunch of, cards in hand. So here she finds Storm, Dandy, sets the Storm. I go for a Gear Town play immediately because I see one. I'm like, alright, we can get in, we can force something. I also summon the Minefield Driller. It's just game 1, there's probably no Sidra. She goes for the Offerings, so we're just getting it in for 15, no big deal. We have the Garden. Here she double crows my Gajiltrons, just unprompted, which she probably should have held these, but it's just an Iron game, so, not taking it too seriously. But yeah, no more Gajiltron for me. She has the Storm, she has set Dandy. I hit in. And yeah, it's a Dandy. So we're just going to clear the tokens, we're going to hit into the Hamster. Here I decide my optimal play in main 2 is to Black Rose, because it's like, my Gajiltrons are gone anyway, so it's like, guess I could get back Garden, but yeah, I mean, okay, so the context here is Black Rose will make Driller mistiming, so I'm not going to be able to get back a Fieldspell. But like I said, not too much value to be gotten out of it, and I just want to clear these because I know her hand is just nothing, like it's just 2 shells and a Accelerator. Plus, I have this pot, which is going to be online after I do that, and I have a Dust Shoot for next turn in case she draws something, so I'm thinking I'm in a really good spot. I take the Debris. which would have been a really good top deck for her. I use my debris to just make Stardust poke in. We know there's no Gores or anything. Here, she just draws debris again, because why not? And walls up with Ancient Fairy Dragon. Most of my outs to this don't care if my field is clogged, so I just summon this, get rid of the tokens. Here she finds Quick Draw. She decides to go for Drill Warrior, which means I'm just going to be able to out the Ancient Fairy Dragon, go for game. So that's going to be game number 1. Game number 2. We open a pretty reasonable hand. She just passes. I think she's bluffing Gores here, because I don't think she's on it at all. I think Quick Draw decks don't generally play this card anymore, so I'm just assuming she doesn't have it. She has the side draw, though, which hurts a lot. It's going to out my Card Trooper. Here we decide to go for Titanial, because that's probably a Raikou, right? Well, it's a hamster, which is basically threatening Raikou. We take 15, which sucks. It's going to be relevant, actually, that we took that 15, because now, when she goes for Nitro here in Brain Cons, I have to sack the Titanial, or I'll be dead to Nitro Warrior damage, which is rough. So we're going to go really low. Then here, probably would have won, but I make a mistake in that I've just assumed there's no Gores, so I don't play around it when I could have played around it. And yeah, I'm going to lose because of this Gores, because that's just game over my Garden tokens. If I had just like summoned Grand Mole after flipping Garden, then bounced the guy, hit over the token for big damage, probably would have won this game, because I could have played around Gores, but yeah, I just didn't respect it. I didn't think it was there, so this could cost me. Not going to make that mistake again in game 3. So, yeah, definitely not. Here I have the read that the back row is the decree, so I'm just like, we're going to storm it and set this Dust Shoot, because I really want this Dust Shoot to go off. And I got kind of lucky with it being a Raikou as well, that I could just hit my Dandian. So, Raikou's the only, like, do things card in this hand, so I get rid of it. And she summons the debris, clears my tokens, makes an Iron Chain Dragon. But that's okay. Gear Dragon will just eat this, right? I mean, maybe summoning Rat here was a bit questionable. It's like, I figure I get to this to like threaten game next turn, and no matter what she sets, and I get some mills as well, which is neat. So I guess it was like an okay play, but this top deck Mirror Force really blows me out this game. At this point, I'm thinking like, oh shit, I'm gonna lose, aren't I? Like, that was just such a crazy top deck that messed us up. Fortunately, we're going to be able to drop another Gear Dragon to eat this Kaiku. I don't summon this because I'm, like, playing around the Sidra. I don't think I knew she had it, but I didn't see it with the Dust Shoot. But I strongly suspect it. I mean, obviously, it's post-board. People are going to bring in their Sidras against Gear Dragon. So, it's a good thing that I played around that this way. Plus, we don't really want to mill more. I mean, we've already got a debris target in play. We're probably not hitting Dandy. Blind Milling's generally kind of bad in this deck, but Trooper's just sort of a good all-around card in here, so it's kind of a weird trade-off. Here I know she has Raikou, so I just decide I'm going to chill and wait for her to set it, and then I can get really big value off this Mind Control Kuraz. So long as okay, so here we're going to do exactly what I said. Gonna pop the Fortress Dragon, gonna drop that Kuraz, get some draws. We draw really nice. We draw a Crow and a Call of the Haunted. Call of the Haunted is probably one of the, well, I'm gonna go over this more in the deck profile, but it's one of the most insane cards in here. So anytime you see it, you're happy. So I have the Crow here for debris, which really messes her up. I go for this. She doesn't have Crow, so I'm thinking, all right, we probably just win unless it's Fader, but she has Fader, so she's gonna stay alive. She tragically top decks the Crow, which would have stopped us from calling back the Gear Dragon. So we're just going to Phoenix Wing go for game here. And yeah, that's going to be game number 3. So we managed to pull that one out. Again, this time we actually played around Gores like a smart person would, and definitely paid off. So let's jump right into match number 2. We're speeding through these. Here we're up against Randage. Randage is playing Diva Hero. These were really brief. I go for a really greedy play here and just try to Mausoleum summon Kuraz turn 1. But I get rewarded because I find Dust Shoot on top of my Solemn that I've already opened, so I'm like, we can just set it all and screw up his play. We Dust Shoot him, we put the Dad back. His hand is still really good, though. He can definitely make plays here. So he Blind Spaces first, goes for a Grapher, probably goes for a Lure next, decides to... Was banishing the Mali correct here? I don't know. I guess it depends how you want to play it. Just feels like this Caius is never going to be live, though, now that you've banished the Mally. But yeah, he just Future Fusion passes. Here, I mean, this play is just crazy. Again, Call the Haunted for Kuraz is probably one of the craziest things you can do in this deck. And we're going to use it to pop both Driller and Gear Town. Just get some crazy pluses. Get a free Gear Dragon, add back Gear Town. We're just going in. It's game one. Committing 2 Gear Dragons to the field is no big deal. Because we don't have to worry about side draw. He just scoops, which maybe he shouldn't have. I guess maybe he didn't know that Kuraz couldn't attack. But, I mean, that was just a rough game for him. We opened crazy. We had some just absolutely nutty plays there with the cards that we had there. So, game number 2. Yeah, his opening's kind of bad. A lot worse than last game. Not a lot of plays to be made here. He tries to Judgment my Gear Town activation, which you can't do this. Judgment can only negate like spell or trap or summons. Cannot negate effects. So like, this is just the effect of Gear Town proccing Engrave. You can't Judgment that. So yeah, now I just kind of know that there's a Judgment here, which he leaves it face up all game, which is kind of weird. I hit into Trag. He just kind of decides to try and wall behind this Trag, which seems kind of risky in hindsight. So I'm just gonna have this Grand Mole. I guess he has the Judgment still, so he figures he'll be fine. He Judgments my Grand Mole. Well, then I call it back. So yeah, very brief 2-0 against Randage there. Finally, we're up against James, the man, the myth, the legend himself, one of the best Edison players out there, one of the best players out there, period, probably. So yeah, we're going to win RPS, though, which is really nice. He's playing zombies, which is interesting. I've seen him testing a couple of different decks lately, so yeah. Zombies definitely a tough matchup, one of the stronger decks of the format, period. An interesting thing is, in a couple of these games, I opened Titanial, and zombies just don't really care about Titanial. Maybe I should have sided it out. My thinking is I usually only side out Lonefire Titanial if you're up against, like, Royal Oppression or something. But, I mean, it's kind of lame against zombies. I don't know. So here he's going to go Future Fusion. Again, we're just going to have a couple passive turns, passing back and forth. A lot of this going on in my games today, at least with Jaina and James. There were some really, really slow grind fests, which is something cool about KFC. It's this crazy like aggro deck that can put on a ton of pressure with Gear Dragon, but then also you can just play these slow grind games, and your grind game is not bad at all. I mean, you have really, really good ways of generating advantage and staying in the game that way as well. Here he just says YOLO and storms and goes for big play to try to hit 8k. I would like to point out that the voice chat peer pressured me into typing this as a reference to the video the other day. I didn't want to do this. It's like a ranked game. It's not like a tournament game or anything super serious, which I've mentioned you're not really supposed to just bluff cards that you have in your hand. I don't think that's allowed, but James is a cool guy. He's not gonna shark us or anything, so you know, it's no big deal. It's just an iron game. But yeah, probably shouldn't have done this anyway. Gonna be honest. Don't emulate me. But he goes for this. Plays around Gore's Trag, but I'm gonna just be able to just stay alive here, right? And then I have the debris fall up next turn, which is gonna be really good for me. So I decide there's no way for me to hit game. I'm just like, all right, well, we're just gonna end on Garden then. Gear Dragon Garden's the plan, with some tokens. I feel like this is a pretty strong situation. It's gonna be difficult for him to play out of this, which I think he just thinks for a while, summons Stratos, grabs Prodigy. Prodigy going to allow him to Kai's my Gear Dragon next turn. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to find a line to game here, which, if I played Fairy Lily in my deck, I would have actually, which Fen keeps telling me to play Fairy Lily. I think it's just too situational and too bad. We already, like, pay a bunch of life points for other stuff, too. 2k is a lot. That's a steep life point count. Plus the debris count is down in the deck, and its value as a debris target is therefore diminished. So here we just try to hit in because our rat is bigger. but he just mirror forces me. I main 2, try to go for some draws. My draws are alright. I find Call, again, Call, insane card. Just game-winningly broken in this deck. So we go for the Kuraz. Here I'm just like, we can go for game, but he has the Tragodia. So now I'm pretty scared. I don't find anything. I've got no defense, so like I could potentially just die to him making Bryonic somehow. Fortunately for me, he doesn't find a way, so we hit in. He's got a Phoenix Wing, the Kuraz to stay alive. I think here I make a slight misplay. I pop the Gear Town, and then I use it to summon Gear Dragon and clog my field, when I could have just like searched the other Gear Town with the Ancient Fairy, because there's one left in deck, and then I can just bring this out next turn. Like either Tribute Summon with like 1 Tribute or whatever. So, yeah, I think this was a slight mistake, because clogging my field makes me vulnerable to him just drawing like Book of Life and turtling behind Reaper or something. But he finds Allure, doesn't really get anything, so I'm going to be able to pull that one out. I kind of just had cracked draws that game. Having the Trag to survive, which is the only way I could have lived that turn, and then having the Debris follow up was just crazy for me. Here he goes, hits in with the Goblin Zombie. Again, we have this Titanium opening, which is super mid against zombies. He's going to be able to out it with a huge Trag. So here I'm going to try to trash the Trags. I just want to get this, because I don't see many outs to this in my hand. I'm just like, we got to get this Trag out of the way. We can play a little slower, try to Kuraz next turn. He's going to Phoenix Wing my Dandy. I flip Ironwall and draw to put him off the Mizuki. This is kind of a weird game. He has the outs to this Ironwall, which would have let him like play the game at any point, but just chooses not to use them on the Ironwall. Which I think might have been, I don't know. It doesn't end up mattering, so here we go for the Kuraz play. Our draws are really bad here. We find the second Gear Dragon. Fortunately, we have the Avarice to try and save our little plus here, but we draw into nothing anyway, with just like 2 more monsters, and we just have this really slow hand against like a Reaper picking us apart. It's kind of awkward. We drew a Crow with our 1 Iron Wall too. We're gonna set this, get end phase space. Now he has Mali and Mizuki in play with Iron Wall, so I feel like he should have outed this, but like I said, it's not gonna end up mattering. We're just kind of down bad here. Maybe if it weren't for this Vortex, we've had a chance, but we're going to get Vortex to next turn in main 2, and it's just going to completely screw us up. I maybe could have, like, used the Terraforming that I top deck to get, like, a Mausoleum and try to pop his stuff, but, I mean, I think there's no chance. So we're going to go to game number 3. Again, we open the Iron Wall. The Iron Wall does a lot of work in these matches. I make a bit of a risky play, and I just, like, try to call his bluff here on the grain control. But he has the Mali to tribute over it. So yeah. We just hit him with Sangan. Since I know it's Mali, we can get rid of it. We can flip Iron Wall, and now he's off the Mali. Here, I'm just like, let's hit in. Let's hit in. If it's like Turtle or something, we can brain control it next turn. And we can just sit behind Sangan Dandy with Torrential Tribute on the field, and that should be pretty strong. So he can't activate the Allure because we're under Iron Wall. Here, I'm like, alright, we find Gear Town. This is a sick play. We're going to be able to go for one of the power plays of the deck, pop Sangan Gear Town, just get crazy pluses here. Yeah, that's absolutely wild. We hit in, he chooses not to Phoenix Wing, he's saving it for the Iron Wall so that he can fire this Allure and have his Mizuki online. So he's going to banish the Mali, go for the Caius. Of course, none of this Iron Wall turns off all of this. I decide I want to game shot him next turn, so I decide to use this Torrential in main 2. Just to keep him off a monster, because I have Call set, which, Call again, crazy card. I'm going to use it, pop both his back row. So maybe he should have set all 3, I don't know. But we just have Game Shot with Debris next turn. So that's going to be the end of the matches. I think this deck's insanely strong. I think it's pretty slept on. Definitely think more people should play it. I mean, it's very powerful. It's very versatile. And I definitely hope to have demonstrated this in today's video. So yeah, hope you guys like the matches. Definitely look out for that deck profile. We will get to it as soon as we are physically able to, and that's going to be the video. So peace out.